My Lord the Chief Justice, my Lady the Deputy Chief Justice, members of the bar, members of the bench, members of the executive and members of the legislature, if there are any here, and members of the diplomatic corps. Good morning. May I please have my counsel upstanding so that I just acknowledge you before we proceed. With me here, together with Nairobi branch be upstanding. With me here are my council members, starting from Nairobi branch, the chairperson, Mr. Eric Theory, the vice chairperson, Madam Helen Namesi, a upcountry representative for the main office, Madam Esther Ngawa, Nairobi representative to the council, Madam Faith Odhiambo, Nairobi representative to the National Council, Madam Eileen Aluso Ingati, Nairobi representative to the main council, Madam Caroline Mudeu, and my very able vice president from Alliance Gauss, Madam Daudi Kamente. Expectation that my classmate Charles Mutinda will have spoken first, then I speak afterwards. It is a demonstration that Mwalimu Kairu Gatembo, that your students have grown of age. If Charles Mutinda, my classmate, will represent the Attorney General, then I don't know who I'll represent from this side, but I think I represent all of us here. It is said necessity is the mother of all invention. I don't know whether they will say fortuity is the father of all regression. My Lord Chief Justice, I remember on the 15th of March, 2020, I was traveling from Eldoret. Then I was notified that an urgent meeting of the NCAJ had been called. And I didn't make it in time, but what transpired then was the scaling down of the operations of the court. It is the COVID pandemic that caused the scaling down of the court. And may I take this opportunity to thank all the players who are behind this project for ensuring that we have innovated within the confines and the limitation of this pandemic. I do not know whether I would have been able to do this were it not for the pandemic, because there have been numerous attempts to digitize the court process, but all have not succeeded. Yesterday night, as I was drafting my speech, because I always draft my speech at night, and I don't have a printer at night, it came to my mind that I must acknowledge many who have distinguished themselves in the era of e-digitization in court. I will start with my civil procedure teacher, Kairu Gatembo. I remember from the first time he sat as a judge of the Court of Appeal, I did not see him with a pen and a piece of paper. He came to court with a MacBook. May I also acknowledge several judges of the High Court. I will start with Honorable Justice Mary Kasango, who is very industrious in the management of our course list. Often we see over 20 matters on our course list, and I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, she clears them effectively. May I also acknowledge Justice Francis Tuyot, who has ably managed the commercial division. And in that regard, may I also acknowledge Justice David Majanja. We have experienced several teething problems insofar as transforming from the analog to the digital platform in court is concerned. Often you hear of this common phrase, "My lady, can you hear me? Can you see me?" Yesterday, somebody posted on Twitter that he had been waiting in the virtual court for almost 4 hours. And when his time came for the client to take play, the link from the police station just got lost. And his client had been waiting in the cells for 4 days. A signal was made from the police station that they'd lost power. A story is also told of a judgment that was delivered when none of the parties had been notified of the delivery of the judgment. None of the parties attended. These, my friends, are some of the problems that we need to deal with. And we must deal with them because we're not the first ones to innovate. Alexander Fleming took the opportunity of coming up with penicillium when we didn't have an antibiotic to take care of medical problems. Graham Bell came up with the telephone when there was need for us to communicate very well. Valentino Tereshkova went to space when there was need for man to discover what is in the outer space. Lord James Richard Atkin came up with the duty of care principle when there was need for us to define how to relate with each other in the society. My Lord, the Chief Justice, I don't know whether you are the father of fortuity or whether you are the mother of innovation, but I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to create for you an enduring legacy insofar as e-registry is concerned and insofar as e-courtroom is concerned. As the Law Society will be here to ensure that we develop this system so that it benefits everybody, members of the bar, members of the bench, and the entire public optimally. Often we will criticize you, often we'll compliment you. Take all this in stride because it is our responsibility and obligation not only to protect the independence of the judiciary, but also to hold you accountable. No wonder, therefore, Mr. Justice Sam Okongo, a few weeks ago, when we were contemplating on how best to make this system work, I told you, you can see at the background of my office, it's more elegant than yours, and I don't need to come to your court. My Lord took profound umbrage, but I think that was an indicator that we needed to do the correct thing. Because the opulence of this building, perhaps, is the reason as to why we have never innovated before. And the need for us to work from the locality of where we may be found at whatever particular point in time could be the reason as to why this noble project is being launched today. May I also take this opportunity to speak to the executive through the Cabinet Secretary, Adan Mohamed. Adan Mohamed, I will kindly request you to convey our request to the executive and in particular to the President of the Republic of Kenya to ensure that the judiciary is adequately funded so that this noble project is sustainable, so that this noble project benefits the members of the public, makes access to justice effective. At the same time, may I also make a plea that we come up with a bill which will ensure that this project is given a proper legal framework, because there is a possibility of e-registry and e-courtroom being abused. And we've seen it in the recent past, how the freedom created in the internet space has been abused. Judges, advocates have been the subject of castigation, attack, and vilification through the social media. I'm sure soon enough judgments will start appearing in the social network, which have been doctored because of the limitations that we have when we have to conduct the business of the court through a judicial platform. It is therefore incumbent upon us to put in place a proper framework in law to ensure that this system is not abused. My Lord Chief Justice, it looks like everybody is wishing you happy birthday in advance. I may not get you an opportunity to congratulate you for the service you've rendered to the Republic of Kenya for the entire period of time that you have been the Chief Justice. At the beginning, I was one of your biggest supporters, I must acknowledge. At one point in time, I was also one of your greatest critics. But at this point in time, my Lord Chief Justice, may I confirm to you that the demands of the moment require that we work in unison. I can therefore guarantee you the unwavering support of members of the bar in ensuring that the remaining term of your service to the judiciary is conducive. In the event that there will be need for us to speak, we will speak. In the event that there will be need for us to act, we will act. Because it must always be remembered that one is first an advocate of the High Court of Kenya before he becomes a magistrate. One is always an advocate of the High Court of Kenya before he becomes a judge. It is therefore our responsibility, members of the bar, to ensure that this institution of the judiciary is protected. As Lord Denning said, it is not upon them to speak, because if they were to speak, they are likely to be misinterpreted. But you and I have the right to speak, and we must speak. And it's for this reason, therefore, that we'll continue speaking, indicating to you the areas that require change, the areas that have been perfected, insofar as e-filing and e-court is concerned. Today marks 100 days since I assumed office. It is therefore a day that is special to me. It is therefore a day that is special to the bar and also to the bench, because I've been able to recruit a few members of the bench into the brave new bar. In the Court of Appeal, I'm told Justice Moinoti is brave. Welcome to the brave new bar, my lord. Esther Ngawa, bring the books. In the Court of Appeal also, I must acknowledge that Justice President William Ouko has been recruited to the brave new bar. Don't feel isolated. The brave new bar is available to everybody. The brave new bar came into office on the 27th of February. We have documented those who participated in that exercise, and I would like to present to you this album before I exit the stage. My friend, my very good friend and senior, Mr. Nurdin Haji, the DPP is here. May I also acknowledge the efforts that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has played in ensuring that the wheels of justice move seamlessly and effortlessly. Thank you, friends. Let's make this work. Barikiwe sana.